Everyone, welcome to part 2 of my evidential research document in relation to Netanyahu, how it ties in with Donald Trump, Iran, and also King Charles and the system of international fraud and a satanic escalation of this deception against humanity. We were looking at Siemens, which was on the directed energy weapons document that I produced several months ago, and it linked in with Jimmy Savile, back into the same companies linking in almost immediately to Donald Trump, royal family members, and we were going to look further down just quickly. The same companies, it then linked in to the Chartered Accountants Benevolent Association. Now remember, they've had to infiltrate the accountants and the solicitors as part of this international government fraud. Even one of my best friends' wife, who I've known for years, was part of this and appears to deceive me in relation to this, because I employed them at early stages with Export Manor Freehold Limited to try and uncover the authentic bank documents. And as we move further down, there's fraud throughout. I'm not going to go into too much, but you have the London Association of Accountants. Now, these are the exact companies that feature almost immediately from the research of Ricky Dearman, who was the dad accused of child abuse and murder by his 2 children. Not only that, but with groups of other peoples at a school and a church of rape and abuse against his children, and also the murder of babies. Okay, these are exactly the same companies linking from Ricky Dearman. You then have links to fraud and Waterlow and Sons, which links to the Freemasons again. And there we have it again, Ingenious Film Partners 2 LLP. The same company we were looking at on part 1 that's on the royal family document, the Prince and Princess of Wales Foundation. And then when you go down, the British Pregnancy Advisory Service. Remember I said in part 1, the birth registration system and the marriage system is all criminal and fraudulent, okay, because of this system of crime they've got in place. Population Matters company comes in from the same director, bearing in mind we're talking about depopulation, and even Celsus, I think it's called Celsus, the company that does the population figures is part of the fraud. Okay, this is how vast the deception is against humanity. The Royal Institution of Cornwall. Now, please, I know this is an awful situation, but I literally have the answers, I believe, to help save everybody in this, including these people involved. Okay, because they're going to be feeling no way out of this. They need to get me involved with discussions with them to help me save everybody in this. I believe that's absolutely possible for me to do that, but I'm going to have to get involved in high-level talks in relation to this. I don't want anything for it. I'm going to have to stay remote to keep safe in my van with a leaky roof. There's nothing I want from it. But here we're at a critical time here. Now we have links to the Masonic companies via the Grand Charity Masonic Samaritan Fund, the Royal Masonic Trust for Girls and Boys. These companies then link in with the Association of Chief Police Officers for the United Kingdom, okay, which ties in very importantly with where I was working in the police as well, back into the Flemings. And in fact, I only found out recently that the actual organisation, the Association of Chief Police Officers, was first founded in 1947, or I think it's 47 or 48, but it ties in with the Israel-Arab War again, which we mentioned in part 1, and ties in with all of that. Then you can hit more Outward Bound. We mentioned that earlier because Outward Bound links to Jimmy Savile, and then you have Grand Lodge Limited linking with the with the Freemasons. And you can see Waterlow's secretaries tying in with them, which again, remember, that ties in with De La Rue, purchased Waterlow's in 1961, and they are involved in the currency production side of things. Then you have the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, okay, very important. This is linking in now with the Madeleine McCann case, okay, everybody. Bates, Wells and Braithwaite, which was mentioned in the satanic document. And the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce has National Westminster Bank Limited on it, the very same company that I've been trying to make complaints about because they're a criminal fraudulent entity company. On the same document, for that you have other bank companies linking to Portugal, Portuguese Government Trade Office. You also have Rolls-Royce Limited on this. Another Banco company, Portuguese Tourist Office. And then when you, within the Portuguese company on the left, Silvia Fazio links to the Italian Chamber of Commerce. So now this makes links to the Vatican, of course. It's a criminal company. Started in 1958. Okay, the same year that Charles was initiated to become the Prince of Wales in 1969. Changed its name in 1996, 5 years before the World Trade Center disaster. And you can see it's a criminal fraudulent entity company because it hasn't been registered correctly with the. And then within the Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, you then hit JP Morgan. Okay, so this all ties in, everybody. Created in 1930, this company. You can see the name changes. Remember, this links to the Flemings. Changed the name 1997. And then changed it again January 2001, before the World Trade Center disaster. And it's a criminal company with a different name that does not match the register. They know exactly what they're doing. And then you have links to P&O Developments, so that links to the World Trade Center, the Masonic Charitable Foundation, and then you have links to cyber security. These are the ones committing all of the cyber fraud, everybody. Okay, the UK's largest miscarriage of justice. Supposedly they're trying to say it's an IT issue. It's not. Regarding the Post Office, Horizon, and Fujitsu, it's not. It's because of this fraud. They've even got a company linked very quickly to Jordans and Sons and therefore Export Manor Freehold Limited, called the Horizon Scandal Fund, that was set up years ago. This is how evil they are, everybody. They have to tell us the truth, everybody. This company now, the Forces Pensions Society Investment Company. So the Forces Investment. And it's the same with the nurses one. Started in November 1966, the year of the foundation of the Church of Satan. And it changed its name in July 2001, the same month that Larry Silverstein purchased the lease for the World Trade Center building. The only time it had ever changed hands in the history of its life. Moving on, you can see here the Forces Pension Society. So this is all coming in from Siemens, by the way. And then you have Jordans and Sons Limited on this one. And you can see established 1946, 2 years before the Israel-Arab War. Changed its name in 1995, the year of the Hakluyt company creation, which links to Russia, to the Flemings, to the royal family, to the fraud. That's now dissolved, by the way, as I was exposing it. But that's the year it was created, 1995. And you can see they changed the name again in July 2001 again. The same year, okay, that the Larry Silverstein purchased the lease for the World Trade Center building. And you can see it's a fraudulent company linked to Jordans and Sons Limited, the company that was started the year before the Church of Satan in 1965. On the left, Masonic charity within that, links to the Rothschilds. All of these Rothschilds companies now, most of those are fraudulent. I've already looked at them. JP Morgan. Again, Fleming names. So those in police and the military, your pensions are at risk. They do not plan on saving you, okay? They plan on getting rid of you and stealing your money from your pensions before you can claim it, everybody. So you need to stand with the public right now. So do these people that have come over from Iran. You're all being deceived, everybody, by a satanic cult and the Pharaoh Egyptians. You need to unite whilst you can and stop working, stop paying all bills, and use that as a peaceful form of protest and a leverage against this system of crime and fraud. These people then have a choice to make. They either go and try and save themselves, and I think they're going to end up drowning, okay, in the tunnel systems. It's going to backfire on them. I know it is. I believe it is. I'm trying to save them as well through truth, repentance, and collective working together to bring about a new system of transparency and equality and fairness for everyone. You see this company, Swifting Corporations and Jordan's, exactly the same two companies that started Export Manor Freehold Limited. I could go on and on and on. The Royal Masonic Benevolent Institution, on and on and on. Now, of course, this all came from the Siemens company, and it's no coincidence, I believe, that this happened. Just having a quick look at these others. It's no coincidence that this happened in the last couple of days. Helicopter crash. Spanish CEO of Siemens died. BBC article. Supposedly 3 children passed away as well. CCTV was acquired showing the plane appearing to break up after the reports are stating that the pilot claimed he had low fuel. This doesn't make sense. If you're claiming you have low fuel, that wouldn't cause the plane to break up in the sky. It would cause the plane to crash potentially if there was a fuel leak, etc., or they hadn't checked the fuel, but it should not have broken up in the air like this. This was from TikTok, how I was partly made aware of this. Family on board a helicopter plummeted into the Hudson River had only arrived in New York City on the same day they were killed. Agustin Escobar, the president of the Spanish branch of the technology company Siemens, his wife and their children, aged 4, 5 and 11 years old, were all killed in the tragic accident crash alongside the pilot, aged 36. The chopper was seen crashing into the Hudson River close to New Jersey side at around 3:15 p.m. Witnesses say they saw the chopper split in half before it went down near the pier. This is an article by the Daily Mirror. The Daily Mirror are part of the fraud, everybody. All mainstream media are compromised by this fraud, satanic fraud. Now, if they really did pass away, and it's not a collaborative deception, for example, to say, look, I can't be part of this fraud anymore, you need to get rid of us and pretend that we're dead because I can't face what's coming. That has to be considered, and I do suspect that a lot of people potentially that they've said have died haven't, as part of the deception against humanity so that they can live out their lives. And I suspect, a part of this could be that they then come out and say they've found evidence of child trafficking in relation to individuals, i.e. Jimmy Savile. They did that too, didn't they, after he died? And more recently, Mohammed Al-Fayed, which is all tying in with this, so that they can then come out and say they've got the evidence of the fraud, okay, when the police, remember, are involved in all of this. However, the day before that, within 24 hours, in fact, I was searching for my wife's friend, Leanne Hawksworth, previous name, Witcher. And you can see, here's the search that I was doing yesterday, 10th of April 2025. This is the search history, okay, for Google, and you can see all of the other things that I've been searching. And then this crash happens. Now, I'm sorry, Leanne. I have to expose everybody where I can. So Leanne is my wife's best friend. My wife's family are heavily implicated in the fraud, and they're linked to Export Manor Freehold Limited. They also have multiple connections to the Freemasons that I only found out about recently. And Leanne is my wife's best friend, or one of. And Leanne had an opportunity to do the right thing. She's been sent the evidence. She's had the discussions. Instead of assisting, what everyone has tried to do is make suggestions that what I'm saying isn't true. Well, it's all being evidenced, okay? So here's Leanne Hawksworth, previous name Witcher, and I'm just showing that I was doing the research surrounding Leanne, who works for Siemens, yesterday before the crash happened. Now, I don't know if that means I'm able to, if they died, that I'm somehow manifesting things to happen to those that aren't doing the right thing in relation to this fraud. I don't know. But of course, it could be that is a deception because they didn't want to have anything else to do with the fraud as the evidence is exposed in relation to Siemens, because it is an important company in this. Quickly go back to the directed energy weapons document just to show you some of the other research in relation to the 5G, let's call it the 5G harmful weapons system potentially. This was just talking about the silent weapons document that I mentioned to you earlier, where the silent war was declared on humanity in 1954. You can see here, quietly declared by the international elite at a meeting held on the 1954. This document certainly appears to be authentic. It talks a lot about what the plans appear to be moving forward with what they're doing. I'm not going to go too much into that at the moment, but it says it's a matter of time before the new breed of private programmer or economists will catch on to the far-reaching implications of the work began in Harvard in 1948, which is when they started to work on it. The speed with which they can communicate their warning to the public will largely depend upon how effective we have been at controlling the media, subverting education, and keeping the public distracted with matters of no real importance. This is what they've done, everybody. They've told us in this document. And remember, we're talking about a satanic plan, a satanic system. And it says here, as the transition becomes more difficult to manage, the family unit must be carefully disintegrated, and state-controlled public education and state-operated childcare centres must become more common and legally enforced so as to begin the detachment of the child from the mother and father at an earlier age. Inoculation of behavioural drugs can speed the transition for the child. A woman's impulsive anger can override her fear. An irate woman's power must never be underestimated, and her power over pussy-whipped husband must likewise never be underestimated. And they've used women to control men as part of this. It's a big part of this. And I will read some of this out. Experience has proven that the simplest method of securing a silent weapon and gaining control of the public is to keep the public undisciplined and ignorant of basic systems principles on one hand, while keeping them confused, disorganized, and distracted with matters of no real importance on the other hand. This is achieved by disengaging their minds, sabotaging their mental activities by providing a low-quality program of public education in mathematics, logic, system design, and economics, and by discouraging technical creativity, engaging their emotions, increasing their self-indulgence and their indulgence in emotional and physical activities, by unrelenting emotional affrontations and attacks, mental and emotional rape, by way of constant barrage of sex, violence and wars in the media, especially the TV and the newspapers. This is how satanic it is, everybody. Giving them what they desire in excess, junk food for thought, and depriving them of what they really need, rewriting history and law, and subjecting the public to the deviant creation, thus being able to shift their thinking from personal needs to highly fabricated outside priorities. These preclude their interest in and discovery of the silent weapons of social automation technology. The general rule is that there is profit in confusion, and the more confusion, the more profit. Therefore, the best approach is to create problems and then offer the solutions, everybody. Problem, reaction, solution. Going into the research, so looking at Hutchinson 3G, they were involved in a lot of the 5G or directed energy incorporation into the cell towers and mobile phones, etc. And on the incorporation document, Hutchison Whampoa, Europe, within their company. Their links, there's Hutchison Whampoa, Europe. And on the incorporation document, it appears to be a forged document. See where the writing for the company name is at an angle. It's different text, different font, and the line behind is missing. I suspect it's forged, and the address is linked to the fraud as well. You can see the address there. On the incorporation document, yeah, Stanley Davis Group, okay, company services, that's linked to the child trafficking and the fraud. And on the right, you can see that's my previous research. It links to the case of Nicola Bulley. Remember, Nicola Bulley, if you're not already aware, her husband worked at BAE Systems, and the officers that investigated her disappearance are linked to Thales via the council, all fraud throughout. And I suspect they then falsified a story that they were creating actual laser directed energy weapons created by the or being used by the military as a cover for it being integrated into the cell towers as a form of sinister physical, psychological attack and control of humanity through the harmful directed energy. The research also linked not only to Nicola Bulley, but Douglas Smith, okay, links to Stanley Davis, who is the special advisor for the last few prime ministers. I suspect he is a high-level Freemason. He's Scottish. He started up fever sex parties, has been arrested for threats to kill, and practices dark arts. I think we now know what that is, according to the research. None of these people can be trusted. Any of you part of this with them, you cannot trust anyone that's part of this. They are all compromised, and they will all be running around now, not knowing what to do about this. Contact me, everybody. Let me get involved. I can help save you all. Trust me, I absolutely believe that. Contact me. Let me assist you. It's linked to Bournemouth Court. Okay, the judicial system for Bournemouth. And Carter and Coley. Carter and Coley are the... they linked very quickly to them. They are the accountants and were friends of the Flemings and the ones filing the forged bank documents on behalf of Exmoor Manor, the company I was removed from. So then we go to Hutchinson 3G. And they link to the fraud. Again, here's the address for Daniel John Dwyer Brimstone. This is where I saw it. Fire and brimstone. When I was looking at the evidence of the World Trade Center disaster, thinking, Lord, what's this fire and brimstone? Is it nuclear war? Is it an asteroid hitting? What's it going to be? And I turned the very next page and there was the word brimstone. I'd never seen it before. And there it was on the document. And that told me that that is what this meant. The evidence being exposed to save humanity and save Earth. The London Law Agency then links on that. That links to Tommy Robinson. Okay. And then other companies then, Swift Incorporations and Jordans. So that's the same companies that started Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, and that is Hutchinson 3G UK Holdings. So that now immediately links to Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited via the document. And Jordans Limited, remember, is Jordans and Sons, now trading as Vista. It's the same company, started in 1965, the year before the Church of Satan. Then we have Hutchinson Global. And on the incorporation document, you had Harmonic Sky of an address in Virgin Islands, of course, tax haven, avoid tax. And then Hutchinson Biofilm Medical Solutions linked to Vistra on the left. Remember, I just said Vistra, it's Jordan's. Closed April 2024, as I'm exposing the fraud. And then it goes into energy companies linking to China. Gas companies dissolving as I'm exposing. Eastern Power Networks, of course, for the threat of directed energy, you need power. So they've got the power companies involved in it. See all these different name changes on the incorporation document for that company. You have what appears to be a forged document. You can see they've changed the company name. They have initialed it, so they can get away with that one. Slaughter and May. But I think they've probably gone in afterwards. Slaughter and May. Remember, some of you will realise how important that company is, and I think they're telling us a lot in the name. That connects company to Hong Kong again. London Power Networks, fraudulent. So that's actually criminal. Remember, the illegality continues through the documents. That's Swift Incorporations and Jordans. I remember, we're coming in all from the threat of directed energy. Everywhere I've looked in relation to the cell towers, it's fraudulent and criminal. That means they're going to target humanity, and there is nothing. They can't stop people taking them down because there's defences in law, and you either believe they'd give you permission had they known they were going to kill people. Okay, had they known about it, Had they not known about it, sorry, so therefore you have a defence in law under the Criminal Damage Act. And if they did know, then they're committing conspiring to commit murder. Okay, so either way, those towers, cell towers, can be taken down. And it's not a terrorism offence. I'm going to do a video about this, but it's not terrorism because it's not an ideology. Okay, it's got to be an ideology and fit some other criteria for the terrorism offence. It doesn't. Okay? And remember, the companies are criminal. So there's no victim. There's no victim. We've also got Allen and Overy, which links to, again, the Nicola Bulley case, the World Trade Center disaster. You get the gist. I mean, I'll probably have to show this in another document, but then Transport London, which then links to criminal company, Nigel Leonard Blood. Okay, that's Transport for London. That's what the Mayor Sadiq Khan was involved in. Okay, it's linked to the fraud. It's a criminal company. Should never have been trading at all. And it's linked to Nigel Leonard Blood. Not only the London Law Agency, a criminal fraudulent company, started the year after the Church of Satan, but an actual name tying all of the fraud together, linking to the child trafficking and the blood taken from children with a surname of Blood. Come back, please. Hold on. No, what are we doing with timing? Hold on a second. We've got 3 more minutes to do before it's half an hour. We then hit Hutchinson Ports. Okay, so we're hitting ports then. Hong Kong Association. So unfortunately, China's implicating in it as well. And it's a criminal company. The Hong Kong Association makes the link to China. And there's China-Britain Council. China-Britain Business Council. And then you have 788 to 790 Finchley Road on that document. Go and search Finchley Road fraud. That links to international government fraud, corrupt politicians, and the taxation system, also mafia and dictatorships around the world. Then have links to HSBC via the Hong Kong company, Douglas Flint via them, and then you hit British Petroleum, BP PLC, Ingenious Film Partners 2 LLP, the same company as I've been mentioning throughout my research. It links it in from pretty much every angle, and that company, exact company, is on the document for the Prince and Princess of Wales Foundation. And then again, Rothschild Company, and on the left, National Westminster PLC, Public Limited Company, a fraudulent company again, because you can see it's got National Westminster Bank Limited on the incorporation document, not Public Limited Company as it claims on the register. And they've stolen my money. I've requested all of my direct debits back, which they must give back under the direct debit guarantee. So they're breaching their direct debit guarantee. Then you have Crown Castle research linking to 5G. Look, you can see here 40,000 towers. When I printed this, look, investment trust. The company owns an impressive portfolio of over 40,000 towers across the country. This was months ago, so there'll be loads more now. Additionally, the company operates approximately 120,000 small cell towers in high demand areas. 85,000 miles of fibre. Castle Tower was founded in 1994, the same year as the Stargate movie came out, which all is becoming relevant. First operational purposes were transmission of sites of the BBC, linked to the fraud and the media. Here's Crown Castle companies. Address, look at the address. Transmitting station in Antrim, in Ireland, on the incorporation document. Director for Wavelength Network Services. And also Télédiffusion de France International. Okay, so we have a link to France. Remember, this is international fraud, everybody. Come back. Anyway, we've gone over the half an hour. Come back, please, for part 3. Thank you. Bye.